Yellowstone star Luke Grimes hints at new family dynamic without Kevin Costner. We all sort of have to join forces. One of the more interesting aspects of the Paramount Network series Yellowstone, aside from the killer soundtrack, is that there is always a number of different storylines moving at one time. And, of course, that's pretty common in a lot of shows. Take Game of Thrones, for instance. There are a zillion different storylines happening in that show, all across their imaginary world. But for Yellowstone, the show is centered around one family and one piece of property in Montana, the Dutton Ranch, and their stories still remain fairly distinct. For example, when we interviewed Jefferson White on the Whiskey Riff Raff podcast a couple years back, he lamented the fact that he has zero scenes with Kelly Riley, who plays Beth Dutton.
Zero.
You're kind of shocked when you hear it, but then when you think about it, you realize that many of Taylor Sheridan's characters are doing their own thing. But in a recent interview with Cinema Blend, Luke Grimes hinted at some big changes coming in this final season. I feel like we've all been in our own little worlds for the past few years, you know? I hadn't worked with Wes in a while, where at the very beginning, we had a lot of stuff together. And I think it was sort of, designed that way so that when we all do come together, there's another dynamic to it. And he's right. Many of the storylines in Yellowstone are quite separate. Case and his wife, Monica, have an arc that remains pretty separate from the drama of Jamie and Beth. Much of the bunkhouse is separate from the Dutton family. John Dutton's struggles with keeping ranch are largely separated from Case's story, except when he needs some muscle to physically protect it. John's relationship with the Rainwater and the Broken Rock tribe is largely separate from the rest of the family, even though Case is married to a Native American woman, and of course they intersect at times, but it's definitely an interesting element of the storytelling. But that's all coming to an end. Luke went on to say that all of the family narratives are going to meet in the season finale now that John Dutton is gone. And you're sort of seeing like Ken and these siblings, in the face of adversity and without a certain paternal figure, are they able to do this on their own? So we all have to sort of join many forces and come together. I mean, clearly, there's the stuff going on with Jamie and Beth that Case is sort of unaware of, but becomes a lot more aware of in this final season. So yeah, I think it's just exciting to see all those energies sort of collide and finally come together. It's still unclear if John is going to die, or if he's just going to be away on governor business, but Case makes it pretty clear that the family is going to have to learn to work together without Dad around to steer the ship. Personally, I'm leaning towards death. I think Season 5 Part 2 kicks off at John's funeral. Just a hunch. Either way, we'll all find out come November 10th, when Yellowstone returns for its dramatic conclusion.